Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Healing one day at a time, healing one step at a time, healing one layer at a time. Thank God, hallelujah. So, if you're new here, we all about healing with Christ. That's what we're about. We're about healing with Christ. We're about discovering who we are. We're about discussing the things that we have to take off. We got to take off the old man and put on a new man. All right. So lately I've been talking about my experience with a covert narcissism, dealing with that my whole life. So for me, I've just been able to put words to it, and I've just started studying into covert narcissism and seeing exactly the effects and my role in the family dynamic. Because in the beginning, I just named it as, abuse and rejection and abandonment and, all these different things that I all these different tools and mechanisms that I use to heal, which are still very valid. But now, me being brought back around to my childhood home and me being brought back around these same energies at this point in my life, God is revealing so much to me that He's just been taking the blinders off, taking the blinders off, taking the blinders off. And it's like, I'm glad that it happened now. So don't ever despise small beginnings. Don't ever despise you not having the full picture right then and there. Okay, because this revelation was years in the making. It's like the compound effect. Things have to build up before they actually pop off and they actually come everything comes to the light. Everything comes to the light, comes to the light, comes to the light. Everything. All right. So the resource I've been looking at that's so interesting and it's so relatable because the reason I just want to say this, the reason I was avoiding just the narcissist topic in general is because I was so used to overt narcissism where it's like clearly, okay, this person is clearly a narcissist. This person is clearly doing this person is clearly doing that. I've done my research on that before and been like, yeah, yep, that sounds about right. But the thing about covert narcissism is it's so sneaky that the very ones who are affected and wrapped up and bound up in its chains can't even see it. That's why it's so dangerous. And that's why it steals so many years of people's lives, is because it's that sneaky and it's that deadly. It's so deadly and it can be so subtle. All right. So I've been reading Junior Read Therapy or JR Read Therapy. Shout out to him on YouTube. He has a whole bunch of videos about being a scapegoat. He has a whole bunch of videos about covert narcissism basically and being a scapegoat in a family dynamic. He's great. I found him because I was just I had typed in a question on Google. Like it was like one of them vulnerable questions. When you don't know what to look for and you just look up something so vulnerable. And it was a lot of articles and I'm like, this don't make sense. And then his was about the scapegoat and I'm like, oh my God, let me click on it. When I clicked on it, I actually shared the link in my community tab. You guys, if you subscribe to me, make sure that you look at my community posts because my community posts, a lot of them are just as powerful as when I make a video and want to connect with you guys. Those, excuse me, but my community posts are really important, especially as a writer, a scribe. These things, the written is just as powerful as the vocal, okay? So, which is funny because I read his article, then found his YouTube channel. So that's great. So I put that link on the community tab if you want to read that link where he's detailing a lot of stuff So I want to talk about one of his points. I want to talk about one of his points today. That's what my video is about. Is talking about one of his points and how I deal with that. Every point on there was like, oh my God, I deal with this and I deal with this. I deal with this. It's like, like it's crazy. So let me go to it. Let's go to it. All right. So this one it's a belief. He's talking about the beliefs of a scapegoated child, these beliefs. So belief number 3, I am always one mistake away from complete ruin. Scapegoated children often feel like their existence hangs in the balance of each moment. Something final, awful, and dreadful could happen if they make the wrong move. A narcissistic parent who has scapegoated the child is already going to find them to be in the wrong. Y'all, excuse me, I'm walking. A lot of my videos right now is going to be me walking outside the home of, clearly, I can't be in the home right now. So a lot of my messages is me walking, but okay, back to it. A narcissistic parent who has scapegoated the child is already going to find them to be in the wrong. The ensuing onslaught of yelling, beating, or worse is how they terrorize the child. Somewhere in themselves, the scapegoated child knows that their fate is going to be awful. Okay? The child must find a way to manage the monumental anxiety they experience in the face of such ongoing threat. One way to do this is to boil down their existence to each moment. This is the key point. One way to do this is to boil down their existence to each moment. No looking forward, no looking backwards. Just what's here right now. The looming dread of what could happen, but it exists more in the shadows. The payoff of this strategy is the ability to go on functioning in the face of chronic efforts to destroy their quality of life. Let me see. It's important to note that boiling down everything down to the present moment is different from being in the now. One can only be mindful when they feel sufficiently safe to do so. A scapegoated child is not afforded the necessary goodwill and space to be present in the mindful kind of way. This is more like taking a snapshot instead of a video. To only look at this moment rather than how they are being treated over time. To do the latter would bring to awareness how hopelessly mistreated they have been and the lack of any viable escape routes. Okay, so at first when I read that, it got a little tricky. And I'm like, wait a minute. I noticed that when something challenges me or when something like frustrates me or anything like that, like in any aspect, I've learned to lean into that more because that very thing is normally the thing that helps me the most, or that very thing is the thing that I end up liking. Like if I be like, oh, I don't like this song, but it's like I end up liking that song. So I've learned to like lean into those types of things. So this is so true, right? From my experience as being a scapegoated person, my experience is they never want you to be comfortable enough to reflect. They don't want you to reflect. This is why a lot of times scapegoated children or adults that turn, they're so focused on their work and they're so focused on like being performative. They're focused on being good, quote unquote. They're focused on being good. They're focused on being productive. They're focused on, and the belief that was right before that is, if I'm not productive, then I'm worthless. But we didn't read that one today. You could go read that one. But they both buy into each other, because if you never get the chance to reflect and you never get a chance to sit down to really analyze stuff, how could you ever really move forward? I was the type of person to always be trying to look to the future, Like, if I get this, if I get this, if I get that, like if I get my own house, if I get my own car, if I get my own this, if I get my own that. These were some of the dreams I used to have so young, like 13, 14. Like, I can't wait to get a job. This is why I started working so early. Like, I think the moment that I was eligible to work, I went and just got a job. And nobody taught me how to drive, so I had to teach myself. I didn't go to driver's training. I didn't do none of that. I was so determined to get out of my situation that I always had this forward moving thing. But if you know, when you don't solve your past, it drags you back. It's like, why can I not get away from this constant nagging at the back of the mind or deep in the soul? It's because these were the roots that's planted. So again, God, since even last year, he's been trying to sit me down. And I have moments in time where I do sit down, start my healing. It's almost like I start the process and I get up. Or I'm 60% with the process and I'm like, I'm good, Lord, come on. I don't want to dwell on that. It's because of the programming. Because if you really sat down and really looked at really how dirty they did you, just a lot of situations in your life, me, and I'm not, this is my, I want to make this disclaimer, even though I don't feel like I have to, but I want to make this disclaimer. Again, me being a scapegoated child, I always take accountability. I'm not one of the people that like be like weird and like try to make everybody else the problem. I'm actually not that person. I'm literally the type of person that when somebody do me bold face wrong, I'll look and be like, dang, what did I do to put myself in that situation? That's, excuse me, that's kind of messed up, but that's literally how I am. So now that God is showing me this and he's trying to get this mentality off of me, and he's trying to get me to not take accountability. Ew, a dog was just right there, excuse me. But he's trying to get me to not take other people's burdens on. He is forcing me to see this stuff and forcing me to um take these burdens off of me thinking that I'm the issue all the time. He is trying to get me to take that burden off because the burden is not mine. The burden is not mine. So, like I said, I be running and getting up and then running and getting up. So again, like I said, for the past few months, I've been in a situation where I've been forced to literally sit in a place, which is the prison, I swear. Like, I feel like Joseph. I've been feeling like Joseph for years. I'm literally in the prison right now, like waiting to be released into the palace, like literally. So and this is why I'm using my gift, and this is why I'm sharing my story and my testimony and everything, because it does help heal, and it helps bring light and help other people. So, but yeah, if I get emotional in these videos, that's just bear with me. So, um, so yeah, being forced to sit down, like I'm constantly like, no, I gotta make some money, I gotta do something. I'm just a worker bee, and not being able to work and not being able to quote unquote chase after this dream, or quote unquote I have my car, I have somewhere to stay, like that. It's challenging my worth. It's challenging my worth. So obviously for the past year, I haven't had a actual job since last year of March. But I had told y'all I started doing Uber in the summertime and stuff like that, just because I'm like, oh no, I gotta do something, which is a really cool gig. Uber, that's a really cool gig. I was renting a car and stuff like that. So, but things kept happening with that where it's like, sit down, sit down, sit down. I'm like, okay, I'll sit down, but let me get back up. No, sit down. So now I've been just in complete obedience. Okay. That's why I'm able to push these videos out. That's why I'm able to heal. That's why I'm able to have all these revelations and stuff like that. I'm just like, put me through the process. Put me through the process. And I'm explaining this because this obviously needs to be said to someone. Don't run from the process, even though it feels yucky. A lot of times we run from the process because it hurts so bad to actually have to sit down and recall all the times people despitefully used you. Sit down and recall all the times that people played you, mocked you, did all that. To even think about that, especially for like this type of heart I have, to even think about that, that's depressing. Nobody wants to be depressed. Nobody wants to be hurt like that again. If obviously it hurt the first time, and then you were able to keep going by the grace of God, only by the grace of God, that you were able to keep going, and your defense mechanism helped you get this far. So don't beat yourself up. It helped you get this far, but it comes a point in time where the Lord is like, no more, no more. I need you to see it for what it is. You're ready for what it is, and you're healing from what it is. You're healing from what it is. So yeah, the main thing is, they don't want you to reflect. They don't want to give you enough time to reflect. They don't. It's like, and then when they see you sitting down for too long, it's almost like, well, when you gonna get back up? But mind you, they don't even get up. They don't even get up. That's the hypocrisy of it all. They don't even get up and do nothing. You're way more productive than them. It's not to compare, it's being honest. And it's like, I've been working like a Hebrew slave for a long time now. This slave ship is like a slave ship. I forgot how it go, but yeah. It's like I've been working for a long time now.